Welcome to the HFY Galaxy Tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from HFY Galaxy Tales. Where humanity always shine. The frozen signal. The wind howled across the endless white desert of Antarctica. The sun hung low on the horizon, throwing a cold orange glow over the snow. At the edge of the frozen wasteland, the Polaris research station stood like a lonely outpost in another world. Inside, the air was warmer but tense. Dr. Jonathan Carter leaned over the radio table, listening to the faint hum coming from the headphones. It wasn't static. It was something else, slow, deep pulses, like the sound of a giant heartbeat buried far away. "Are you sure this isn't interference?" asked Anna, the radio operator. Carter shook his head. "I've been working in this station for 5 years. I've never heard a signal like this." The pulses grew stronger every hour. They came from the same coordinates, deep under the ice, almost 500 meters below. To a scientist like Carter, it was impossible to ignore. If there was something under the ice, it could be a discovery unlike anything before. The next morning, Carter called the entire team into the mess hall. There were 8 of them, scientists, engineers, and technicians. He showed them the readings on the screen. "Whatever this is," he said, "it's moving, not by much, but enough to suggest it's alive." The room went silent. Mark, the drilling expert, finally spoke. "Alive? You're telling me there's a giant animal frozen under the ice?" Carter didn't answer directly. "I'm telling you, we need to find out by noon." The drilling team was at the coordinates. The wind tore at their parkas as they set up the rig. The sound of metal biting into ice echoed in the frozen stillness. Each layer they cut through was older than the one before, a timeline of Earth's forgotten history. At 200 meters, the drill hit something hard. Not rock, not ice, metal. The vibration that came through the drill wasn't natural. It almost felt like it was vibrating back. The team switched to cutting tools. Slowly, a black surface began to appear under the thick ice. It was smooth, perfectly shaped, and covered in strange carvings that looked nothing like human writing. "This isn't natural," whispered Anna, running her gloved hand over the strange symbols. Carter's breath caught in his throat. They had just uncovered the corner of something massive. As they worked to expose more of it, the pulses in Carter's headset grew louder. So loud that even without the radio, they could feel it deep in their chests, like the beat of a giant drum. Then something happened. The carvings began to glow faintly. Pale blue light bleeding through the centuries-old frost. The warmth from the glow melted the ice around it faster than their tools could. The metal hissed as it touched the cold air. Mark stepped back nervously. "This thing, it's waking up." Before Carter could respond, the ground gave a sharp crack. A thin fracture raced across the ice under their feet. From deep below, a low, inhuman roar rolled up through the frozen earth. It was a sound so ancient, so unnatural, that it made the hair on the back of their necks stand up. Anna's voice trembled. "John, I don't think we should be here." Carter hesitated. He was a man of science, and this was the find of a lifetime. But as the glow from the structure grew brighter, and the heartbeat-like pulses quickened, he felt a knot form in his stomach. The drilling rig's sensors began to spike. Something large was moving under the ice, slow, deliberate movements, as if whatever was down there was testing the walls of its prison. Then, the snow around them shifted. From the corner of his eye, Carter saw a mound of snow rise and fall. Another, then another, as if something was moving just below the surface, circling them. The wind picked up, carrying with it a strange metallic hum. Carter's instinct screamed at him to leave. But before he could call it off, a section of ice gave way with a deafening crack. A dark hole yawned open at the edge of the excavation. The sound from within was not just a roar now. It was breathing, slow, deep, and getting closer. Carter looked at the faces of his team, pale and wide-eyed. Whatever was under Antarctica's ice had just woken up, and it knew they were there. The awakening snow whipped across the excavation site. The black metal surface beneath the ice now glowed brighter, its strange blue light flickering like a dying star. The heartbeat-like pulses were faster now, each one deep enough to shake the ground. Dr. Carter backed away from the edge of the hole. Everyone, fall back. Now, his voice was almost lost in the wind, but the team understood. They began pulling back the equipment, but the drilling rig suddenly shut down on its own. The power drained as if something was sucking it away. Anna's radio crackled. With static, through the noise, a low alien voice echoed, repeating a word none of them understood. It wasn't human speech. It was a call, and it was answered from deep within the hole. Movement erupted, something tall and insect-like rose. Through the mist, the creature's body was covered in black chitin that reflected the blue light from the structure. Its eyes, 8 of them, glowed like burning ice. It moved with a horrifying smoothness. Each step calculated. It wasn't just looking at them. It was studying them. Back to the station. Carter shouted. Mark grabbed a thermal lamp and swung it toward the alien. The creature hissed sharply, pulling back from the heat. They don't like warmth, Mark yelled. But even as they stepped back, another shape emerged from the hole. Then another, soon, 4 creatures stood at the edge, their sharp limbs digging into the ice as if it were soft snow. The team stumbled back toward the snowmobiles. Anna turned to see one of the aliens vanish under the snow, moving like a shadow. Beneath the surface, her voice shook. They're under us. The snow to her left exploded, and an alien burst out, knocking her to the ground. Its limbs pinned her arms easily, its face inches from hers. She could see her terrified reflection in its icy eyes. Before it could strike, Carter swung the emergency flare, the bright red fire forcing the alien to recoil and vanish into the storm. They didn't stop running until they reached Polaris Station. The thick steel doors slammed shut behind them. Everyone was breathing hard, their faces pale. What were those things? Mark panted. Carter didn't answer. Instead, he went to the storage room and pulled out an old military crate marked Project Siren Classified. Inside were yellowed documents. Photos from the 1960s showed the same black metal structure, the same glowing carvings, and in the blurry background, the same insect-like creatures. One photo showed a burning research station, the words "total loss" stamped across it. Carter's voice was grim. This isn't the first time they've been found. There was another station here 60 years ago. It was destroyed. The official report said it was a fire accident. But these creatures, they were here then too. Before anyone could respond, a loud metallic clang echoed through the building. The team froze. The sound came again, heavier. This time, from the roof, snow dust fell from the ceiling as something large moved above them. Anna whispered, "They found us." Lights flickered. The heater died. The temperature in the room dropped fast. Carter realized the creatures were cutting off their heat to weaken them. Stay close to the thermal lamps, he ordered, but then the sound of shattering glass erupted from the storage wing. One of the aliens had smashed through a window, moving so fast it was a blur. It snatched one of the scientists before anyone could react, dragging him into the white storm outside, his screams vanishing into the wind. Silence followed, broken only by the faint scratching along the walls. The aliens were circling the building, testing every weakness. Carter gripped the flare tighter. "They're not just hunting us," he said. "They're making sure we can't escape." The last stand storm outside was growing stronger. Snow slammed against the metal walls of Polaris Station, making the whole structure groan. Inside, the team huddled in the central hall. their faces pale in the dim emergency lights. Dr. Carter spread the old military documents on the table. In the center was a hand-drawn map of the site. It showed the alien structure buried under the ice, labeled only as Hive Core. A red X marked the station's current location in bold black letters. One warning stood out: do not engage, contain, and seal. They tried to destroy it before, Carter said, but they failed. They sealed it under the ice, and we just opened it again. And his voice shook. So what do? We can't outrun them in this storm. And if they can move under the snow? A loud metallic screech cut her off. It came from the front doors. The steel bent inward as something slammed against it again and again. Then the sound stopped, replaced by the faint, rhythmic tapping of claws on metal. The creatures were toying with them, hunting in silence until they chose to strike. Mark's eyes fell on the station's fuel tanks stored in the generator room. What if we blow the whole place? Bury them again? Carter hesitated. It could work, but we'd have to lure them inside first. The plan formed quickly. Use heat to draw them in, lock all exits, and then ignite the fuel. It was risky. If even one creature stayed outside, the plan would fail. They positioned the thermal lamps in the main hall. The glow spread a warm light into the freezing air. The team hid in the shadows, waiting. Minutes passed. Then the first alien appeared in the doorway, its 8 glowing eyes scanning the room. It stepped inside slowly, drawn to the warmth. Another followed, then 2 more. The sound of claws clicking on the metal floor filled the hall. They moved closer to the lamps, ignoring everything else. Carter waited until the last one crawled in through the shattered window. Now, he shouted, slamming the steel shutters closed, trapping them inside. The creatures reacted instantly, letting out ear-piercing screeches. They launched toward the humans, but Mark and Anna fired the emergency flares, blinding them for a few seconds. Carter sprinted to the generator room, pulling the fuel lines loose. Gasoline poured onto the floor, the sharp smell mixing with the icy air. One of the creatures broke free from the distraction and charged at Carter. Its long limbs smashed through tables and equipment. It leapt, claws reaching for him. But Carter lit his flare and shoved it into the fuel. The explosion ripped through the station in a blinding flash. The heat wave slammed into Carter, throwing him backward. Fire swallowed the hall, wrapping around the creatures. Their screeches echoed as the roof tore apart, flames lighting the Antarctic night. Outside, snow and ash mixed in the air as the station collapsed into a burning crater. The storm carried the smoke away. For a moment, there was silence. Carter crawled out from the wreckage, coughing in the freezing wind. Only Anna and Mark emerged behind him, their faces blackened with soot. They stood together, staring at the smoldering ruins. "It's over," Mark said, his voice shaky. Carter didn't answer. His eyes drifted to the horizon, far away, across the white wasteland. A mound of snow shifted. 2 faint blue lights glowed from beneath it, then vanished under the ice. Carter felt the cold sink into his bones. "No," he whispered, "it's just beginning."